Om Sarvadharmastapakastvam Sarvadharmaswarupakah Acharyanam Mahacharyo Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha. We are studying the second part of Sri Ramakrishna the Great Master, and we are in the 21st chapter, telling the remaining things about his sadhak bhav. And in the beginning we saw how Christianity came to him and Christ got absorbed in him. And then we saw that during this period, he had two types of experiences very important in our life. One is about himself and the other is about spirituality in general. And about himself, he said that he understood, confirmed that he is an incarnation, that he has no liberation like ours, and that also that he knew when he will leave this body. And about others, spiritual matters, we yesterday were studying all religions are true. So many faiths, so many paths. Secondly, man must accept doctrine of dualism, qualified non-dualism, and non-dualism according to the state of his mind. And then people in general will progress by resorting to karma yoga. 3 points we studied in as much depth as possible. All three were equally important. All three were equally important, and we may say a new setup for this age. Other incarnations have not shown this so clearly. Neither all faiths are paths. Shankaracharya did travel throughout India, and when people were worshipping, there was nothing called Hindu religion nor Vedic religion. People were Ganapatyas, Sauras, Shaktas, like that. Shankaracharya traveled throughout India and told them that the rational base of your sampradaya is in the Vedas. If you accept the Vedas, then your sampradaya stands a rational basis. And with the help of that, your sampradaya also is explained. So follow your sampradaya, but follow the Vedas. And therefore, he was the first to try a unification of all the sampradayas existing in India. But the world has shrunk so much after Shankaracharya, so much, that if we breathe, the neighbor is troubled. If we breathe, it reaches America or Russia next moment, same moment. So, in such a situation, it was necessary that either we quarrel or we love. There is no other go. Each man is not an island now. And so, it was absolutely necessary, the need of the age, that somebody in one life. Shankaracharya did not practice all sampradayas in one life. He showed that we have roots and base in Vedanta. But Thakur, this is the age of science. We want everything demonstrated. Show us. And it was Sri Ramakrishna who had the idea of realizing God through all the paths. And because he was above humanity, though appeared as a human being, he could do it in short time, and in one life he practiced every religion. And so he had the authority to tell that all paths lead to the same goal. Those who do not accept this, yesterday I talked about it, have contracted their vision due to their fate, due to the natural narrowness of human mind. They have contracted their space. And the second point in this is that among the Vedantins, dualism, qualified non-dualism and non-dualism are stages of growth. And a man must accept one of them at one time according to the state of his mind. Swami Vivekananda has given another example. Suppose a man is traveling from here to the sun, and from every point he has taken photographs of the sun. Now all the photographs are photographs of the sun, though from different distances. So all these faiths, all these visions, Dvaita, Vishtadvaita, and Advaita, is a man is traveling surely towards Advaita. That is another point which Thakur has repeatedly told. All the sadhakas, you may not know or you may know today, but ultimately, unless you reach the absolute identification with God, there is no release from this world. You may go to Vaikuntha and here and there and stay for a long time, but it is not release. It may be karma mukti at the most, but not mukti. So, the last word is Advaita. This is what also Thakur has said. But to travel there, according to the nature of the mind, and as I told you, this Dvaita is very much higher than what a non-believer or an ordinary believer life is, because there is a definite attraction, definite person called God, and he is all powerful and he is all above all. He is the best attraction for man, and man loves him with all his intensity as much as he is. And when he loves him, he goes near him and then finds that he is a part of God. And when he still loves him without keeping a boundary, then he realizes that I do not have any separate existence from him. And so this was shown. But the beginning of dualism or man's life consists of two stages. The first stage, he is obliged to do karma, because the mind is restless. Because as soon as there is dualism, the karma aspect comes. But Thakur, and that is common with our Shastras, Gita especially, Shankar Bhashya especially, but Thakur has a speciality there also. They all tell us that we must purify our mind through karma, and that is the limit of karma according to Gita. Some people in our own sampradaya said, Swamiji has shown that karma yoga itself will lead to mukti. Mind you, Swamiji has said, if you read Swamiji's karma yoga, that no path is separate at all. All paths are blended. And Swamiji has beautifully shown that karma either has to be based upon jnana or has to be based upon bhakti, and then only it becomes karma yoga, and through that only you have to progress. So that is the base of karma yoga. It's a different matter that some people, according to their constitution, from outside, they will appear as if they are doing karma, but inside they have changed. So that is not the karma. Karma, as we know, has a limit, and it is very important even for our own sampradaya. So these three things we have seen. Now we come to the fourth thing about it. Now, let me tell you what it is in Bengali. उदार मते संप्रदाय प्रवर्तन करिते हुईवे. उदार मते संप्रदाय प्रवर्तन करिते हुईवे. Now the main point here is sampradaya. And if you open Bengali to English dictionary, many meanings are given. And one of the meaning is this word community, which is used in this translation. But to get the meaning of a sentence, we have to look the all words and collect them. What is pravartan karite hoive? Is to be founded. You found a community. What happens? People assemble there. Pravartan karite hoive, to initiate, to start. Now let us go to the original meaning of the word sampradaya, taking sampradaya into Sanskrit. What is the original meaning? Sampradaya, rightly giving, is the meaning. Rightly giving is the meaning. Now what does it mean? That the Guru gives to the disciple, and the disciple receives it, and then he becomes a Guru and he gives to his disciple. That disciple receives, makes it his own life, and gives to the next disciple. This chain is called sampradaya. Sampradaya is a succession, is a chain of Guru to Shishya. And so, sampradaya, then pravartan we can understand. That you initiate, you make a tradition that after you, somebody takes it up. And after him, somebody takes it up. It will not dry up like the Falgu river. After him, somebody takes up. So this succession of teachers is what is called sampradaya. Now, when we see with the open eyes this world, you may find many sampradaya. But as soon as a sampradaya is made, people's mind becomes narrow. Outside our sampradaya, nothing. I heard the other day, we do not believe that all paths lead to the same goal. Only Shankar Siddhanta will do. This is what happens to the sampradaya. So what is the solution? The solution is Udar Mater Sampradaya. Udar Mat, as Thakur has described. Which Mat Thakur founded? No. Thakur gave a feeling, encouragement to all sampradayas. And that is why Saradananda Swamiji calls Sarva Dharma Sarupaka. Sarva Dharma Sthapaka, Sarva Dharma Sarupaka. So, I would translate this word as non-sectarian sect. Non-sectarian sect. Swami himself has said that generally sect becomes narrow. We must at the same time become as broad as the sky, as open as the sky, and as deep as the ocean. Because if there is no sampradaya, everything becomes lost. Shankaracharya in many places has called Guru Sampradaya Rahitam, Vedanta Sampradaya Rahitam. So there has to be a continuity, and that is why Sri Ramakrishna left a community, left his disciples, making them full, making them realize God in so many ways of life. Let us find examples. Mahapurush Maharaj started as a Nirgun Nirakar sadhak. But if you see the room in which things are kept today, Hanseshwari, Bakeshwari, this Mahadev, that Mahadev, as if they are all his companions, all devatas. Brahman Swamiji, on the other side, started as Thakur is my mother, but his name is Brahmananda. In Omkareshwar, he was in Nirvikal Samadhi for 8 days. So, every disciple of his, whatever be the starting point, Thakur made their life complete. So, these two ideas we get there. One is Acharyana Mahacharya, and the other is Sarvadharma Stapakastam. Now, this is what is being conveyed here. And so, though community is not wrong, because it is a meaning given in the dictionary, but generally, sectarianism comes. But if there is no sect, the truth itself will not continue. So there has to be a sect in the sense of sampradaya. Guru Shishya, you may like to call it tradition, lineage, continuity. On the other side, such things tend to become narrow, make the minds narrow, that should not be allowed. And so, Udar Mater Sampradaya Pravartan. Pravartan means make a start, let it continue. So, founded, I am not telling this translation is wrong, but to convey the original sense, I would like it to be Thakur knew that he will have to start a non-sectarian sect. Remember, that is what Ramakrishna Mission is supposed to be. Otherwise, if in Ramakrishna Mission we insist you must worship Thakur, otherwise, no. We should not be narrow in our approach. Swami Vivekananda has said, let them accept Thakur as either an ideal man or as Siddha Purusha or anything. But Thakur's ideas and ideals they must accept. So Thakur's ideals and ideas, to continue that, he requires a succession. So this is the fourth point, very important in our life, in all the people, in the mission or not in the... Now let me define this Ramakrishna mission. Today, Ramakrishna Mission is technically, legally a registered charitable society. It is connected with Ramakrishna Math, which is a charitable trust. And they are internally connected in the sense that the trustees of the Ramakrishna Math become the governing body of the Ramakrishna Mission. The authorities, President, Vice President, General Secretary, Assistant Secretaries of the Ramakrishna Math continue to be same post in the Ramakrishna Mission, that is the inner connection. Now this Ramakrishna Mission is a registered body. But what is the Ramakrishna mission? What is Ramakrishna mission? Mission means the life's purpose, the life's work. That is called mission. Sri Ramakrishna came with a mission in life. And that mission is divinity of man and various ways of realizing that divinity of man. And as a part of that, serving man as God. Now, whoever in the world is true to this ideal is Ramakrishna mission. He may not be technically as a part of this registered body. The other day, last 2-3 days, we had a brilliant sadhu amongst us. And the whole Ramakrishna mission supports every activity of his. And who is doing superhuman work in the Rameshwaram Islands. All the poor people, whether they are a phenomena that in the beginning he was opposed by the Muslims and Christians. And today, Hindus, Muslims, Christians are all his devotees. He is working for the poor. He is struggling for everybody. And so, a rickety man. So many others in many places. Suppose, I'm just telling, suppose he would have continued as a member of this body, he could not have done this. Like that, many others, of course, if they are true to Thakur's ideals, otherwise only taking name of Ramakrishna will not do. So, Ramakrishna mission in its broadest sense is anyone who follows sincerely Thakur's ideas and activities, ideas. And so, that is what Ramakrishna mission is, the sect in a way, started by Sri Ramakrishna himself. Remember, people think Vivekananda started it, but Vivekananda himself, Mahapurush Maharaj, Saradananda Swamiji, all have told everybody this is started by Sri Ramakrishna himself. And that is what is meant here, that Sri Ramakrishna understood that he has to start a succession of right teachers. And now the community comes, that so many sadhus, so many householders all become associated with this movement. So Ramakrishna order of sannyasis, Ramakrishna Sangha, Ramakrishna movement, these are the proper words for that non-sectarian sect. Now, that is the fourth point. Let me read this. The master realized that as an instrument in the hands of the mother of the universe, he would have to found a new communion. He would have to initiate, he would have to start a new succession, especially fit for the liberal faith revealed in his own life. The master realized all this during the lifetime of Mathur Babu. The mother told him, he said to Mathur, that many devotees would come to him to attain spirituality. Many devotees, remember, sannyasins and householders are equally. It is superfluous to add that it turned out to be literally true. Once at the Kashipur garden, the master looked at his own photograph. Sampradaya, another part of that Sampradaya. Once at the Kashipur garden, the master looked at his own photograph and said to us, this is a picture showing a very high state of yoga. It will be worshipped hereafter in every house. So, people would accept him as incarnation. Today, 10. Tomorrow, 10,000. Next day, millions. Next day, the whole world. So, it will be worshipped hereafter in every house. ঘরে ঘরে পূজা হইবে এই মূর্তির। Now, this, which photograph which you are worshipping? The photograph in the sitting posture of the master in Samadhi, that photograph. So that is the start of the Sampradaya. Then, fifth point. I hope I have cleared it. Thakur, no, let me put it in another way because this incarnation thing has come. All the previous orders, I would like to add something more here. Some of us, more orthodox minded, say that we are Puris. Among the sannyasis, Shankaracharya divided. The sannyasi is eternal. But Shankaracharya organized the Vedantic sannyasis into 10 names. Puri, Giri, Vanabharati, etc. Now, Thakur was given sannyas by Totapuri. Does that make us Puris? When we have to go and register our name in some chhatra or somewhere, we may get benefits, and they know 10 sampradayas. So they ask us what is our Guru's name and which of the 10 you belong to. So they write Puri. But what we are reading here, try to understand that. I'm not criticizing, there are great sadhus, but all the previous lines disappear into an incarnation. He has said Thakur is an incarnation. So, all the 10 sampradayas and 50 sampradayas of the Vaishnavas and Tantris and all of them have merged in Sri Ramakrishna. And now, why we should call ourselves a Puri? If legally it is required, it's all right. But what Nivedita wrote? Nivedita of Ramakrishna Vivekananda. She added Vivekananda. I would say I am a Ramakrishnite. I am a follower of Ramakrishna Sampradaya. That is what Saradananda Swamiji is meaning here. Where comes this Puri Giri? Some of our senior sadhus, I will tell you, joked on this point. You know, Puri in Hindi means that fried form of roti. So somebody asked one of our sadhus, are you Puri? He said, I am neither Puri nor Kachori. I am Ramakrishna. You understood? So there are orthodox people in us, great sadhus. They like them called Puri. But from Thakur, a new lineage has started. That is what Saradananda Swamiji is meaning here. Thakur understood that absorbing all the previous things, he has to start a new line. I think I am able to clear this point number 4. Now, point number 5. It was discussed in great detail in Guru Bhavattarartha. So, Saradananda Swamiji just makes a mention here. And those who are in their last life will accept his doctrine. What is his doctrine? Udarmat. What is his doctrine? All faiths are paths. Now, Thakur's language is Jahader Shesh Janma Tara Ekhane Asve. They will come here. And the meaning of come here, Saradananda Swamiji has discussed at great length. We have read that in Guru Bhavattarartha. And there he has made a point that if they accept this, then they will naturally come to accept Sri Ramakrishna also. But Swami Vivekananda said in this respect. Saradananda Swami himself also has said that people may forget the source of this idea, but they will accept this idea that all faiths lead to the same goal. They may forget the instrument through which it came, but this idea will spread throughout the world. If I am using Arnold Toynbee's language, Arnold Toynbee, the great historian, said that this age started as the Western age. It will have to become India's age, Ramakrishna's age, if it has not to end in destruction of humanity. So, that is what the study of history has revealed to Toynbee. And so, this is the, having known with the help of his yogic powers that those who were in their last work would come to him to attain spirituality. He had quite a firm conviction about it because he came to know through yogic vision. We have given the reader our own opinion about it, our own, he says, elsewhere. It is therefore needless to repeat it here. So this topic on spirituality in general, he has discussed in 5 points, and we have tried to understand it as deeply and connectedly as possible. Now, remaining things of his sadhak life, so we come to another topic. Para number 10. These were all parts of para number 9. Para number 10. Three eminent, the opinions expressed by three eminent sadhakas well versed in the Shastras on seeing the master at different times. So I have to understood this speciality. He is an incarnation. He is not having a diseased brain. For that, Saradananda Swami brings an authority. Who are the authority? Sadhakas well versed in scriptures. Only scholars of scriptures will not understand it. Sadhakas who do not have a scriptural background, for them it is difficult to understand it. But those who have studied scriptures means old sadhakas, and they have done sadhana in this life, such three people recognize Thakur. So that he has brought at the end of the sadhak bhav. Three eminent sadhaka pandits, well versed in the scriptures, came to the master during three important periods of his sadhana. He is not talking of Bhairavi Brahmani here. Saw with their own eyes his spiritual states and had the opportunity of having discussions on them. Pandit Padmalochan saw the master after the latter had attained perfection in the tantric practices. Pandit Vaishnav Charan, Padmalochan first mentioned. Pandit Vaishnav Charan met him after his success in the Vaishnava disciplines, and Pandit Gauri had the privilege of seeing the master possessed of the divine splendor produced by the sadhana when the latter had finished all his spiritual practices. So first is Padmalochan. Padmalochan was a sadhaka and Vedantic Pandit. Padmalochan saw the master and said, I see in you divine power and manifestation. Divine power and manifestation. ईश्वरीय आविर्भाव और शक्ति. ईश्वरीय आविर्भाव is a manifestation. That means God is manifested in you and God's powers also are in you. God's nature is manifested in you and God's powers are manifested in you. That is Padmalochan said. Now, Vaishnav composing a hymn in Sanskrit, Vaishnav sang it to the master in ecstasy, describing him as an incarnation of God. So when he saw Thakur, he praised him, composing a Sanskrit hymn that you are God. Gauri, when he saw Gauri, as I told you, Bengali short form, Gauri Charan or something. Gauri, when he saw the master, said to him, I see tangibly realized in you all the high spiritual states recorded in the scriptures read by me. So whatever scriptures he had read, he said, their ultimate aim I see manifested in you. Besides, I see in you the manifestation of such exalted states as are not recorded in them. So he was the first to tell that your experience have gone beyond Vedanta. And we have discussed that, we need not discuss again. Your state has far transcended those mentioned in the Vedas, Vedantas, and the Shastras. Far transcended. You are not a mortal being. The reality from which incarnations originate is there in you. So that is still high, that incarnations come from there, you are that reality. When we study the extraordinary story of the Master's life and his wonderful experiences mentioned before, we can clearly comprehend that those prominent sadhaka pandits did not speak the aforesaid word by way of flattery. The dates of the coming to Dakshineshwar of those scholars have been ascertained in the following way. So historicity, objectivity is telling no. He has mentioned that before, now he wants to show that. The time of the coming of the Pandits ascertained. While she was staying at Dakshineshwar for the first time, the Holy Mother saw Pandit Gauri there. Again, we are told by the master that the Pandit came to Dakshineshwar when Mathur Babu was alive. Therefore, he seems to have come to Dakshineshwar sometime in 1871 and stayed with the master there till 1873. So from these 2 points, he has achieved this. The master always cherished a desire to see those sadhak pandits who tried to carry into practice the scriptural knowledge acquired by them in their life. So if scripture is practiced, then it is meaningful. And Thakur liked to see these people. And he had desire. As Bhattacharya, Sri Gauri Kanta Tarka Bhushan, that is the full name, Gauri Kanta. Bhattacharya Sri Gauri Kanta Tarka Bhushan, because study of his scriptures. For that was his full name, belonged to this class of sadhakas. The master had the desire to see him and had him brought to Dakshineshwar through Mathur, who invited him to come there. So this is all about Gauri. The Pandit was an inhabitant of the village of Indesh near the master's birthplace. Hrith's brother Ram Ratan went with Mathur's letter of invitation to Gaurikanta and brought him to the holy temple at Dakshineshwar, who have elsewhere told the reader about the wonderful power which came to him from the sadhana and the way in which he renounced the world after he came to Dakshineshwar, saw the master and her intense detachment growing gradually in his heart. So those things we have seen in Guru Bhav and Nana Sadhu Sampradaya, Guru Bhav and Vaishnav Charan and Gauri. So there, Gauri's miraculous power, Thakur withdrew it in himself and he became a Vairagyavan sadhak and went for tapasya. Now, Padmalochan's time he wants to find. The date of the Annameru, the gift of a mountain of food, has been ascertained to be 1864. That means before, much before this. Huh? In the book entitled The Story of the Life of Rani Rasmani, we were told by the master about the eagerness of Mathur to have Padmalochan brought to Dakshineshwar by invitation and to make him accept gifts at that time. Therefore, the year 1864 may be said to be the time when Bhattacharya Shri Padmalochan Tarkalankar, he is also Tarkalankar, because Bengal is famous for this Tarka study. Therefore, the year 1864 may be said to be the time when Bhattacharya Shri Padmalochan Tarkalankar, the Vedantic scholar, he is a Vedantic scholar, but it is called Tarkalankar, came to the master. So, second, describe, but describe before Gauri Pandit. No Vaishnava Charan. The time when Pandit Vaishnava Charan, the son of Utsavananda Goswami, came to Dakshineshwar can easily be ascertained, for we have heard from the master about his discussion at Dakshineshwar of the supernal nature of the master, at first with Yogeshwari, the Bhairavi Brahmani, and afterwards with Gauri Kanta Tarkabhushan. Like the Brahmani, Vaishnacharan saw manifested in the master's mind and body all the signs of the Mahabhava spoken of in the Vaishnava scriptures, and he got lost in astonishment and agreed with the Bhairavi in her conclusion that the master was a reincarnation of Gauranga. When one hears the above mentioned words of the master, it becomes clear to one that Vaishnacharan came to the master in 1865. When is Padmalochan? 1864. Vaishnacharan? 1865. After the latter had become perfect in the discipline of the Madhur Bhava, Vaishnacharan frequented Dakshineshwar now and again till 1873. So these are the periods. The master's desire to see his devotees of the inner circle, he cried out for them. So that succession now starts. As he was inspired by God, a new and strong desire arose in the mind of the master after he had had the experiences mentioned before. Now, God he himself is, but it is described, I have told you repeatedly, for the common man's consumption, that inspired by God. Ishvara Prerit Hoya. Okay. A new and strong desire arose in the mind of the master after he had had the experiences mentioned before. He became very angry. These experiences that people will come to you and all that. He became very anxious to meet his devotees. The intensity with which he practiced sadhana was shifted as the intensity for starting that succession. So, that is the nature of the universal mind. In this body and mind, if reality has been realized, why not in others? That is the same intensity, because the mind is now universal. Thakur's mind was always universal, but now that universality is manifested, so same intensity. Physically, standing near that ghat after evening arati, or at that time, oh mother, one day has gone, you have not yet shown yourself to me. Same place, same cry, oh mother, where are they? Where are you? Come to me. So that is the desire. A new and strong desire arose in the mind of the master. If he had had the experiences mentioned before, he became very anxious to meet his devotees, previously seen in the yogic visions, and to impart his own power of spirituality to them. So power of spirituality, again, the same succession is talked of. That anxiety, said the master, had no limit. With great difficulty, I put up with that constant anxiety throughout the daytime, exactly like his sadhana time. hearing the vain worldly topics of the worldly people, which verily seemed to be poison to me. I used to think that when they would all come, I would have pleasant conversations on God with them, which would pacify my mind and heart, because fulfillment of that mission and refresh my ears. I would then tell them my own spiritual experiences and lighten the burden of my heart. Again, the idea of their coming got associated with everything in and around me and led me to think incessantly of them. I kept myself in readiness regarding what I should say or give to each one of them according to Adhikar. Finally, everything. When the day ended and evening came, I could no longer control that surge of anxiety by any amount of patience. The thought arose that another day had passed away and none of them had come. When the temples rang with the sounds of conches, bells, etc., I got up the roof of the mansion of the proprietors. Being restless on account of the anguish of my heart, I called out at the top of my voice and with tears in my eyes, "Where are you, my children? Do come, one and all. I cannot do any more without seeing you." And I filled the quarters with loud cries. So great were my anxiety and restlessness that it is doubtful whether a mother desires so intensely to meet her child. Nor had I ever heard of a pair of lovers or friends behaving that way in order to be united with each other. So, more intense than mother to the child or paramour to the lover. A few days after this, the devotees began to come one by his call. But a few important events took place before the devotees came to Dakshineshwar at that anxious call of the Master. As they are not directly connected with the present part of the book, sadhana, we record them in the appendix. We move on to the appendix now. The principal events of the Master's life from after the worship of the Shodashi to the coming of these market devotees. Let me remind you here what we thought in the beginning, what Saradananda Swamiji told in the beginning of Guru Bhav, and we saw the same thing, that the sadhana period and this Guru Bhav period is the same. And after sadhana, he had to spend some more days to get acquainted with the condition in India and through the world. And then his mission started with the English educated people. So that gap, certain important things happened and they not connect with the sadhak bhav, but important from the narration of Thakur's life point of view. So, because it is sadhak bhav, so he put them in Parishishta appendix. Now, some events. First, the death of Rameshwar. We have told the reader that the Holy Mother came back to Kamarpukur in the month of October 1873 after the worship of Shodashi. After the worship of Shodashi and she had gone back, she came to Kamarpukur. Rameshwar, the second elder brother of the Master, died of typhoid. Spirituality in some form or other was manifest in the life of each man and woman belonging to the Master's paternal lineage. That we want to describe some spiritual values. We have heard many things illustrative of this in regard to Rameshwar. Rameshwar's charitable nature. Rameshwar was a man of a very liberal nature. He would give unhesitatingly to sannyasis and fakirs, broad-minded also. Coming to his door, whatever they asked for, provided it was there in the house. We were told by, not by stealing somewhere, we were told by the relatives that fakirs used to come and want many things. One, a cooking pot, another a water pot, a third a blanket and so on. And Rameshwar brought them all out from the house and gave them away to them. If any member of the house raised an objection, he calmly said, "Let them take them. Do not say anything. Many such articles we shall have again. Why do you bother? Rameshwar had some knowledge of astrology too. That is mentioned because he knew his death. The master's prescience of Rameshwar's death and his warning to him. When Rameshwar was going home from Dakshineshwar for the last time, the master knew that he would not have to return from there. And in ecstasy, in Bhav Samadhi, that means divine knowledge, said to him, "You are going home. I see, go. But do not share the bed with your wife. If you do, it is doubtful whether you will survive." One of us heard this from the master himself later. Swami Premananji heard this from the master himself. So, some association. Thinking that the life of his mother would be in danger at the news of Rameshwar's death, the master prayed to the Divine Mother the result of the prayer. So his mother did not get affected, though she had so old. Shortly after Rameshwar reached home, word came that he was ill. When the master heard it, he said to Hriday, he did not obey the prohibition. He understood the association. It is doubtful whether his life will be saved. After 5 or 6 days, the news came that Rameshwar had passed away. He was not so old. The master was much afraid that the news of the death, because his mother is still living, Ramkumar had died. The master was much afraid that the news of the death of her son would be a great shock to his aged mother. He went to the temple and prayed plentifully to the Universal Mother to save her from grief. Then the master went with tears in his eyes, we are told by himself, from the temple to the Nahabad to break the news and to console his mother. The master said, I was afraid that mother would completely lose her consciousness on hearing it and was doubtful whether her life would be saved. But in fact, the contrary happened. Mother heard the news, expressed a little grief, and started consoling me, saying, the world is transitory. Die everyone must someday. It is therefore useless to grieve, and so on. It seemed to me that the Divine Mother had turned her mind to high pitch like a tanpura keyed up to a very high note, and that was why worldly grief and sorrow could not touch her. When I noticed this, I saluted the Divine Mother again and again and became free from anxiety. We know that, Divine Mother. The behavior of Rameshwar when he knew that death was near at hand, that he told astrology. Rameshwar knew the time of his death 5 or 6 days before the event took place. This may be astrology or not, but he knew. He told his relatives of it straight away and made all preparations for his obstacle and the Shraddha ceremony. This is really wonderful. Seeing a mango tree in front of the house being cut down for some reason, he said, it is good. The wood will be of use in my funeral rites. He uttered the holy name of Sri Ramachandra till his last moments. So he has gone to Ramchandra. He lay unconscious only for a short while before he passed away. Before his death, Rameshwar requested his relatives not to cremate his body in the burning ground, but to bury it on the road by it. Oh, strange. As the reason for it, he said, I shall attain a high heaven by virtue of the touch of the dust of the many sadhus' feet treading the road. Rameshwar died at dead of night. After the death, Rameshwar talked with his friend Gopal. That means death is nothing but a passing away. Rameshwar had a man of the village named Gopal, had been friends for a long time. Rameshwar and a man of the village named Gopal had been friends for a long time. Gopal said that after Rameshwar's death at that time on that day, he heard a tap at the door of his house and on the inquiry got the reply, I am Rameshwar, going to take a dip in the Ganga. There is Raghuveer there in the house. Please see that his worship does not suffer in any way. So he was anxious about Raghuveer, and he took the name of Ramachandra. When Gopal was about to open the door at the call of his friend, he was told again, I have no body, so you will not be able to see me even if you open the door. Gopal opened the door in spite of that but found no one there. He then went to Rameshwar's house to know if what he had heard was true and found that Rameshwar had actually passed away. Now, something connected with that. Ramlal, the master's nephew, came to Dakshineshwar and was appointed priest, the temple of Annapurna at Chanak. Two things are there. So Rameshwar officiated as a priest for some time, but he had to repeatedly go back, that we have heard previously. And so last time when he went, Thakur said like that, and it happened. Then came Ramlal. Ramlal Chattopadhyay says that his father Rameshwar died in 1873 at the age of about 48, very young. He collected the ashes of his deceased father and came to Vaidyavati near Calcutta and immersed them in the Ganges. That means first spot where he met the Ganges, he immersed them. He then crossed the river there by boat for the purpose of coming to the master at Dakshineshwar. Looking at Barakpur while crossing the river, Barakpur is on the same line with Dakshineshwar. While crossing the river, he saw that the temple to the Devi Annapurna, which was being constructed on behalf of Jagdamba Dasi, the wife of Mathur Babu, was then half built. The installation of the Devi took place afterwards in 1875. At Rameshwar's death, his son Ramlal was appointed priest to perform worship at Dakshineshwar. So this is about Rameshwar, his passing away, and Ramlal coming there. So we halt here. The next is Mathur has gone away. Some Mani Sen had done for some days. Now who is the second Rasadar, supply provision? That is Shambhu Malik. So we'll meet Shambhu Malik now in next para. Om Sarvadharma Sthapakasvam Sarvadharma Swarupakaha Acharyanam Acharyo Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Good.